The power of language. Chains or change. Your words create your reality. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Mind Engineer community. I hope you're enjoying this. We're going to offer today a very important lecture around how the mind works and how our words are impacting us to grow or to stay stuck. So stick around if you're interested in this, because I'm going to reveal many things that are happening that we're not even aware of. And a lot of people out there in personal development are using these type of phrases that keep us more in chains than help us change. So let's start a little bit understanding a bit more how the mind works and how I believe we need to start in a way changing the way that we speak. Because the truth is, I believe that we're spiritual beings living in a human experience. So we have spirit, that could be love, and we have ego. Okay. So imagine that you're procrastinating, and what happens normally when you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing? How do you talk to yourself when you're procrastinating, when you're falling into self-sabotage, when you're falling into perfectionism, when you're not setting boundaries? How do you talk to yourself? So let's divide it between love, spirit, and ego, right? Hurting. So from ego, what a lot of people would use is what's wrong with me, right? I'm so lazy, right? I'm always messing up things. I have to get my act together or I'll never succeed or things like that. And any type of variation, if you look at that, it is reinforcing there's something wrong with me. So if there's something wrong with me, I'm going to create more fear to take actions, because if I take actions and I prove that there's something wrong with me, it's going to really tear me apart in my mind, of course, right? So if I tell myself that I'm lazy, I'm reinforcing the laziness. I'm not dissolving it. If I say, I have to put my act together, again, I'm saying indirectly that there's something wrong with me. So when I start seeing that it's coming from the ego, I realize that I need to change the way I talk to myself, because if I keep talking to myself like that, it's going to make it very difficult to make a change. So that would be the chain, staying in chains, stuck in your life, right? So how can I bring change, dissolve, right? And that's what I want to bring here. A part of me is scared. What is this part of me trying to protect me from? So instead of seeing procrastination as something bad, let's start seeing that in a more compassionate way and start exploring what's going on. This isn't sabotage. This is self-protection. Let's try to listen, explore, and learn from that part of me. It's safe to move forward slowly. I don't need to act perfect right now. So allowing myself to start saying nice things that can incentive and motivate me to be able to do more, right? So again, let's go back to ego. If you're feeling sadness, anxiety, right? Out of nowhere, and I've seen this many times, right? I shouldn't feel this way. I'm supposed to be doing well. I should be grateful about all these great things that are happening in my life. I thought I already healed this. Why is this back? This is weakness. I should feel different, right? All these talks that a lot of people are having are just reinforcing the negative things that you're going through. And again, it's going to keep you in chains instead of helping you change. Chain, change. Yes, different, very similar words. That's why I'm using them, right? So from a loving perspective, listen to this. This part of me is surfacing because there is something from my past that is still hurting. These are emotional messages that I need to take care of, that I need to listen, that I need to acknowledge. I can tell myself, hey, I am here now. What would you like to share with me? And you start having these inner conversations, right? Another scenario with ego and love, right? Attracting unhealthy relationships. I have terrible taste. I'm broke. I'm broken, and I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. No one will ever truly love me. I should stop trying. These are things that could come from ego that are keeping you stuck in chains, right? And let's see how to start changing this. You could say there's a younger part of me that still, you know, maybe struggles with love, feeling deserving. What old beliefs am I still dealing with that I need to heal? Let's find a part of me that is still looking for some type of familiar relationship in partners externally. Because a lot of people might have had toxic parents and now they fall for toxic relationships in a way to, recreate whatever they had before. They accept, they tolerate more than when they should. They don't set boundaries. Those are typical things that are talking from wounds. So instead of beating yourself up, instead of judging yourself, right, the idea is to start loving and accepting every part of you. Another thing that I've seen a lot from a lot of people out there, even spiritual gurus, personal development gurus, that they talk about letting go. You need to let go. That is ego. That is language that is keeping you in chains. Chains, not change. Chains. Why? Because when you say, I need to let go, you're saying that there's a part of you that is wrong, that it's holding on. So part of you is holding on to something, and then another part comes in and says, you got to let go, you got to let go, you got to let go. If you think about that, that is ego trying to control a part of you that is not letting go. So ego is trying to exert control over another part of you that is trying to control. This is the same example I always give. Is like slapping my kid in the face to teach him that it's not okay to slap his brother, to hit his brother. I'm just reinforcing the behavior. So let go is not the best way to talk to ourselves. I need to live in the present. No, again, ego, words, language that is keeping you stuck. When you say, I need to live in the present, what I'm doing is I'm reinforcing that there is something wrong. And what I need to start doing is acknowledging, loving, and accepting what is, people. Loving and accepting what is. There's a part of me that is living in the past. Why is it living in the past? Let's explore, validate, and explore and learn from that part of you. A part of me is living in the past. Okay, it has valid reasons to be living in the past. Why could it be living in the past? What is it looking in the past? Or if it's living in the future, oh, I should stop living in the future. That's not going to break it. That's not going to change it. You're creating more chains. You're holding yourself, stuck by the language that you use. So we got to be very careful because we need to start identifying the type of language that we're using that is helping us grow, change, dissolve, or is keeping us stuck in chains. We need to start evaluating the way we talk to ourselves and the way others are teaching us to talk to ourselves. Seriously, this presentation came up after my sister-in-law went to an event with a person that was offering a meditation and personal development, and she has a tons of followers. And during the meditation, there were several things, because this sister-in-law recorded and sent it to me, that I started kind of going through, breaking down and analyzing. And it was amazing because there was things like, we need to let go. And I was like, no, it's not about letting go. It's about learning why you're not letting go. Loving and accepting the part of you that is not letting go. Because remember, if a part of you is not letting go, it's doing it because it's lacking love and acceptance. So if you tell it that you have to let go, and that part of you doesn't feel love and acceptance, doesn't feel validated, doesn't feel seen, what you're doing is reinforcing that behavior or shutting down that part of you that the idea is to be able to integrate it, to become more who you are. So we got to be very careful how we talk to ourselves. It's not about letting go. It's not about living in the present. It's not about living, not living in the future or not living in the past or living in the present. Because many times we're trying, in a way, to use supposedly NLP or different tactics to try to command ourselves to be somewhere, but that's not okay. The mind doesn't work with those type of commands. If a part of me is living in the past, what that part of me needs is love and acceptance and understanding. Why is it living in the past? What is it looking in the past? What's the benefit of living in the past? If a part of me is living in the future, same thing. Why is this part of me living in the future? From a place of exploration, from a place of love and acceptance and validation, to be able to open the door to understanding. The only way to start breaking the chains that hold us back, that hold us down, that keep us stuck is to start learning that the language that we're using and that a lot of people out there are using is, in a way, a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because when I'm treating myself like crap, when I talk to myself in a hard way, I'm creating more pain. More pain is going to create the same behaviors that I'm trying to change in the first place. So I'm not being able to change the behaviors. I'm reinforcing them, guys. I'm reinforcing the behaviors through the language that I use. So we got to try to stop using that language. Let go. Move forward. Live in the present. Stop living in the past. Stop living in the future. You have to let go. You have to forgive. Don't feel this way. All of those are commands that create more pain. And most people use it even in huge events. I have seen it. I have heard it. I've been studying many names out there, and I love it because, yes, I take things that work and I discern what doesn't work. And next week, I'm going to be talking about something also that has to do with language. And I'm going to give you a small sneak peek that has to do with shadow work. Shadow work, those words are keeping most people in chains and not helping people change. And I'm not going to tell you why right now, and I'm going to break that. But, right, I want to, break the surprise. But I wanted to let you know that a lot of the language, most of the language that we use is wrongly used. When I say I am a coach, when I say I am this, I am that, many times I am identifying my being with that. And what if in the future I stop acting as a coach, being a coach? A lot of people, their life ends in a way when they, retire, when their kids leave their house, right? The empty nest syndrome, or when something happens that is not aligned with the way the 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 oh, sorry, the image, what they created about themselves, right? So we got to be very careful with these things because a lot of people are defining themselves with external things. And when those external things change, stop, now they find themselves in a very difficult moment in their life, crisis, depression, so many other things that I've seen in people because suddenly their identity, there you go, that was the word I was looking for, their identity is shook because they don't know who they really are. The other day I was working with a guy and I asked them, and I ask this question a lot, who are you without your titles, without your degrees, without any external things? Who are you? Write on the chat, write in the chat if you know who you are outside all those external things, or on the inside, let's put it on the inside, right? Who are you? And the answer that I get from most people is they have no idea. This guy I was asking, he said, like, I don't know. I never thought about that. Yes, exactly. We don't ask ourselves those things. Who am I if I'm not a dad? Who am I if I'm not a husband? Who am I if I'm not a coach? Because when I was in my teens and I wasn't a parent, does that mean I was nobody? Because now I'm a parent, right? I'm a dad. Oh, that identifies me. So, who am I before that? Who was I in my teens? Discovering it? No, because the truth is, you were born with a specific identity. You were born in a unique way. Buddhism, Hinduism, Christians, all of these religions and spiritual groups believe that we are in a way, an individualization of God here on earth. So then who am I? The problem is that many times language, the language that we use it to define ourselves, and we put ourselves in a mental cage, in chains, and then we find it very difficult to change. So several things that I teach is love and acceptance, always, right, of what is, understanding and exploring your mind, your language, to see how you're talking to yourself, because how you're talking to yourself is going to define your identity and is going to define your actions. Is the language that you use that is ruling your life. So you want to start changing, you got to start evaluating the language that you're using. Have you heard this before? Write a yes or a no in the chat if you have heard this before, that language is such an important thing. And although in my case, I've heard it and I've done many courses and things like that, even the people in the course, in the programs, I still feel that they're limiting themselves through their language. I'm doing a training right now that is a year-long training, right? And the person there, they're talking that, yeah, I'm not, lazy, but then I'm being lazy. They're saying that we got to start using I'm being lazy instead of I am lazy. But being, if you look at the verbs, it comes from I am. It defines the being. So it's so silly to listen to these people because they talk about language, how important it is, but they're still limiting themselves with their language. So I brought it up to the teacher and I try to keep bringing it up, right? And I feel that there is more work to be done on. And I need to work more on myself too. And one of the things that I tell the people that I work with one-on-one is that I'm still perfecting my language by learning from others and by checking, discerning what I say and what others say, and checking, is this phrase helping me grow or is this phrase keeping me stuck? Is this phrase in a loving way? Is this phrase coming from love, spirit, or is this phrase coming from ego? So start practicing this because it's going to give you a very big advantage in your life to start making changes, because our words define, create our reality. If we don't start working and identifying what is our reality according to our own words, so what are our words, to then be able to go into our beliefs and start reprogramming our beliefs in a better, more loving way, because many have tried affirmations, kicking themselves and different things, and it seems that it doesn't work. Again, language, guys. Is this language opening the mind or is this language closing the mind? I have given you a lot of homework by now in these 15, 18 minutes of presentation to take with you to start working on what is going on inside of you. How are you talking to yourself? How are others talking to you? How are you talking to others? Because many times we don't realize, and we're coming from hurting part, we're coming from ego, and we're creating more chains, and we're not creating change. We need to start working on change, not chains. So let's start checking how we talk to ourselves, how we talk to others, to be able to identify the programs that we're running that are keeping us stuck. We need an open mind, open heart. We need love, acceptance, validation, then exploration for understanding. That has really changed my life, and I'm sharing more and more with more people to help you guys start making changes in your life. Because if you keep doing what you're doing, unfortunately, you're going to keep getting the same results. So the words are very important. The language we speak. If I go to China and I don't know Chinese and nobody there speaks another language that is not Chinese, I'm not going to be able to communicate. Whether I want it or not, I'm not going to be able to communicate it. This is the same thing. I need to speak the right language for the mind to help the mind open up to be able to heal and dissolve the behaviors, or whatever is holding me back. So I hope that makes sense. Again, let me know in the chat if you heard this before, if you tried it, if you are working on becoming more aware of how you talk to yourself. And please, please, if you're liking this, subscribe, share, comment here on social media, because more people get to see this, more people get to benefit. So I'm doing this for free. More people can benefit from this, but it has to do with you if you share, if you comment on social media, on YouTube, right? So that more people get to see this and get to know more about how the mind works and how to start making changes. So thank you